So I've covered how 3 books of the original story arc were adapted into the graphic novels so far, and the next one I'm doing is Book 5, A Dangerous Path. This is one of the 3 that they had less pages to cover, so expect a bit removed. I will be bringing back the critical omission from the Fire and Ice video for the most major plot events that are not in the comic. And as usual, credit to the Warriors Wiki Cliff Notes for being a really good catalog for major events that I use as reference for these videos. Here's the color coding I'll be using in this video. We have a prologue and 27 chapters of the original Dangerous Path book to look at. Let's begin. The prologue is moved. The arrival of the dog pack is teased during the Rising Storm section of the previous graphic novel volume instead. Chapter 1 has some moved and some removed. Like we saw with the Darkest Hour, they combined 2 gatherings together, this time with Chapter 1 and Chapter 10. So Tigerstar introducing himself as ShadowClan leader, and all the reactions are moved to that Chapter 10 gathering. Because we only have that gathering now, the plot with Bluestar not attending a gathering while recovering from the fire, and Fireheart representing ThunderClan on her behalf, is removed. I did like the awkwardness of Fireheart and Tigerstar sharing the Great Rock. Oh well. Also, Fireheart talking to Mistyfoot is removed. Chapter 2, mostly removed, one thing is the same. Fireheart telling ThunderClan about Tigerstar is there, him talking to Cinderpelt about Yellowfang is removed, and him talking to Bluestar about the Gathering is removed, because in the comic the Gathering without Bluestar didn't happen. Chapter 3, a little of the same, a lot removed. Camp Rebuilding is present, and Cinderpelt revealing the Pack-Kill-Kill dream is present, Whitestorm finding dog scent is gone, and Fireheart and Sandstorm meeting Greystripe and talking about RiverClan is gone. Chapter 4, some removed, some of the same, and a change. Firestar does not assess the apprentice's fighting skills. Bramblekit hurting Snowkit during play fighting changes to Bramblekit hurting Sorrelkit, because Snowkit is not in the comic. Fireheart still talks to Goldenflower about Bramblekit looking like Tigerstar. Brackenfur worrying about Snowkit is gone, and Bluestar refusing to make apprentices other than Cloudpaw into warriors is gone. Swiftpaw specifically because Longtail mentored him, and Longtail used to be a friend of Tigerstar. I'm going to call this a critical omission because this conversation is very necessary groundwork for Swiftpaw's eventual frustration. Chapter 5 is removed. This was a Cinderpelt chapter with a brief mention of Fireheart worrying about Snowkit, and then Cinderpelt's first solo Medicine Cat meeting at Highstones, where Fireheart tags along, but not in the comic. Chapter 6 is also removed. That chapter contained a Fireheart nightmare, and a Fireheart and Sandstorm outing that involved a visit to Princess, finding Two Legs, visiting Greystripe again, and Greypool being revealed to be missing, and looking for her. Chapter 7, removed. This chapter had Greypool accidentally reveal to Tigerstar that Bluestar had RiverClan kits, and then she falls and hits a rock and dies. I'm saying it's a critical omission because it's the death of a major character. Like, it's still confirmed Greypool dies, but we don't know the reason why in the comic. Bramblekit catching prey, and Cinderpelt discovering Snowkit's death, also removed. Chapter 8, a little of the same, and then a massive removal. Fireheart finding dog scent and then reporting it to Bluestar who blames it on WindClan is present, but Speckletail trying to help her son Snowkit is gone. And then, the very major event of Snowkit dying from a hawk attack because he can't hear everyone's warnings is gone, because Snowkit is not in the comic at all. Obviously a very major event in this book, so it's a critical omission. As for where I stand on their decision to remove this, I don't think there were enough pages in the comic to cover it even if they wanted to. And I think that a rushed depiction of little Snowkit dying because he can't hear would be really awful and sad. Snowkit's death is already viewed as ableist by a lot of fans because essentially, Bluestar says he could never be a warrior because he is deaf, and they depict his mother as delusional for thinking otherwise, and then they kill off Snowkit to prove Bluestar right. I think it's possible to rewrite his character to be less ableist, like they did with Cinderpelt. However, it will require more pages than the comic could realistically dedicate to this subplot, so they just didn't bother. I think the way to fix Snowkit would be if they made a novella from Speckletail's perspective that develops Snowkit's personality more, and shows that she wasn't stupid for believing in her son, and that it was ThunderClan who failed them. Or alternatively, just write a new deaf character who is better representation. Moving on, Chapter 9 is all removed. Hawk Attack Aftermath and Panic about it being a sign from StarClan, as well as Fireheart talking to Cinderpelt about Bluestar's mental state. Chapter 10, we're at the gathering. It's almost all present, with one removal. One Star introducing Gorsepaw is there, Leopard Star revealing Crooked Star and Greypool have passed on is there, Blue Star and Tall Star accusing each other's clans of stealing prey is there, Leopard Star alluding to wanting ThunderClan's territory is there, but Greystripe spilling the detail to Fireheart that Leopard Star is actually planning to attack is gone. I guess Greystripe is slightly more loyal in the comic. Only slightly. Chapter 11 is there, but one change. Blue Star and Fireheart argue about Blue Star's decision to attack Wing Clan, and then Fireheart makes a decision to seek Spotted Leaf's advice, but in the book he decides that on his own after he can't find Cinderpelt. In the comic, he realizes it because Brindleface says he is tired, and he realizes he can use that tiredness to go dream. She still says that in the book, but it has less significance there. I guess the comic wanted to give Brindleface a little smidgen of relevance before they killed her off. Spotted Leaf and Yellowfang tell him to stop the battle in both. Chapter 12 is a little same, mostly removed. Fireheart does sneak out of camp to go to Wing Clan, but a scene is removed where he intercepts Darkstripe bringing kits to meet with their father Tigerstar. Chapter 13 is all removed. It's Fireheart arriving at Wing Clan and negotiating a peace meeting between Tall Star and Blue Star, and conspiring with ThunderClan behind Blue Star's back to stop the battle. Now this is implied to happen, but we don't see any of it. I'd say it's a critical omission because this is huge character development, showing Fireheart's willingness to disobey authority for his morals. And being completely off screen, if you're not paying attention, you can miss that any of this happened. Chapter 14! We're using all 4 colors. Ravenpaw arrives to say Tall Star wants a peace meeting. This is the same, but it's never revealed it was Fireheart's idea. Also, there's a change that Ravenpaw's mates with Barley now. Very cute. I made a whole video on that already. The Wing Clan and ThunderClan meeting does happen, and Blue Star is convinced to back down. And Blue Star calls Fireheart a traitor for wanting peace, like she does in the book. Longtail expressing that Swiftpaw should be a warrior is moved to a little earlier in the comic, and Blue Star going missing is missing. Chapter 15 is gone. Cats worry about Blue Star, and it's revealed she went on a solo mission to Highstones where she was warned about the dogs. Chapter 16 is all the same. Blue Star leads a patrol to Sunning Rocks, Cloudpaw and Swiftpaw tag along, a battle with RiverClan happens, Swiftpaw is sent to fetch more ThunderClan cats against his wishes, and Fireheart reveals Blue Star is the mother of Mistyfoot and Stonefur to stop them from killing her. Chapter 17, also the same. Mistyfoot and Stonefur reject Blue Star, Greystripe saves Fireheart from Leopard Star and gets exiled, Blue Star lets him back into ThunderClan because she's too depressed to care, and ultimately, ThunderClan wins the battle, and Cloudpaw mocks StarClan. Chapter 18, mostly the same. Greystripe is reintroduced to ThunderClan, Cloudtail becomes a warrior, Longtail is mad Swiftpaw can't be a warrior. They remove the scene where Blue Star explains why. They change it so that Blue Star's reasoning that Cloudtail doesn't grovel to StarClan is said during the ceremony instead of in private with Fireheart. Chapter 19 is the same, but 2 short new scenes are added to the book. One is Cinderpelt reflecting on the battle on Cloudtail, and the other is Fireheart and Sandstorm hunting together, and Sandstorm asks to mentor Tawnycat. What's the same is, Fernpaw tells Fireheart that Swiftpaw and Brightpaw went to Snake Rocks, and they investigate to find Swiftpaw dead and Brightpaw injured. Brightpaw repeats the pack pack kill kill message that Cinderpelt had in the vision. Chapter 20 is some of the same, some removed. Brightpaw is tended to and Blue Star renames her to Lost Face. Less of Brightpaw's recovery is shown though. Fireheart discussing who should mentor Bramblekit and Tawnycat, and Greystripe suggesting Sandstorm is removed. It was replaced with that scene with Sandstorm herself asking that I already mentioned. That does make Sandstorm's frustration at Firestar's choice more justified, because in the original book she acted very entitled. And Bramblepaw and Tawnypaw become apprentices. Chapter 21 is removed, some Bramblepaw and Tawnypaw patrolling and Lost Face recovery. Chapter 22 is missing, a gathering where Tigerstar demands his kits belong in ShadowClan. Chapter 23 has a scene where they visit Princess, and that is moved all the way to the Darkest Hour section in this comic. There is a Spotted Leaf dream that is removed, and what's the same is Longtail warning Fireheart that he discovered Tigerstar's suspicious activities. Chapter 24 is the same, Fireheart reconciles with Sandstorm. Then they investigate Sunning Rocks to find rabbits that Tigerstar killed to lead the dogs to ThunderClan camp. And then they find he also killed Brindleface to give the dogs a taste for cat blood. Chapter 25 is mostly the same. Fireheart tells the clans everything and makes a plan to fight the dogs. Bluestar agrees to come. There's a removed bit where Darkstripe fails to steal Bramblepaw and Tawnypaw, but that's implied to have happened later. Chapter 26 is the same. They launch their plan to lead the dogs into the gorge. Greystripe gets their attention, and Tigerstar interferes with the plan to try and kill Fireheart. Chapter 27, of course, it's the same. Bluestar saves the day but falls in the gorge. Firestar attempts to help, but ultimately Mistyfoot and Stonefur swim them to safety. And Bluestar dies and is happy again in her final moments. So overall, they were able to fit in more of this book than I expected, even if they sped through certain things. Honestly, with only a third of a graphic novel volume to work with, they did the best they could. Swiftpaw's decision to go after the dogs, and Fireheart's meddling in WindClan make a lot less sense with all the details they left out, but otherwise, I can't complain much about the decisions they made adapting A Dangerous Path. Alright, bye everyone!